YouTubers, this is Music Sword here, and this is James Bond, episode number 9 in the James Bond series, and this is the movie The Man with the Golden Gun, released December 20th, 1974, almost a year and a half after the last James Bond film, directed by Guy Hamilton. And this one grossed at box office worldwide $97.6 million. Now, for the series, The Man with the Golden Gun's movie figures was very, very, very disappointing, to say the least. And I'm pretty sure there is a lot of people out there that might say, well, what was the reason for this? Some would say, story-wise, it might not have been as good. Now, I've read the book, The Man with the Golden Gun, and I will say, here is the actual plot to The Man with the Golden Gun. James Bond is brainwashed by people and is sort of brainwashed to assassinate M, which I thought would have made a good story, but this story wasn't bad, and I'll get into it more. But in box office figures, you're looking at just about a just about a $70 million loss in money. And that's quite a lot of money. Like, Live and Let Die, their last movie, made like $90 million just in the United States alone. So for this movie, it's like it barely made worldwide what Live and Let Die did just in the US alone. But it stars Roger Moore as Bond, Christopher Lee as Scaramanga, Britt Ekland is Goodnight, Maud Adams is Andrea or Anders, I can't remember, I might have printed it off wrong, I'm not sure. But yeah, Hervey Valencasey is Knick-Knack, and Clifton James, oh god, is J.W. Pepper. And this might even turn at the end to a rant on J.W. Pepper. But the plot is James Bond's being hunted by the super assassin Scaramanga, and is trying to find him while trying to find out about a Solar Dex project and a little device that he's trying to find. And the movie starts off good. It starts off with this, shows Knick-Knack there, it shows Scaramanga and a gangster there, and this gangster's being paid to sort of test Scaramanga, being paid to try and kill Scaramanga, as it's almost a test. And Scaramanga kills the guy, and it then shows, after he shoots him, it shows Bond breaks into the title Eon track by Lulu the Mount. The Man with the Golden Gun. And then it shows the beginning, Bond learning that Scaramanga's after him. There's a fight scene. Bond finds Scaramanga's ammo maker. Bond meets Andrea or Anderson. Good James Bond fashion. Goes into her room. Sees her in the shower naked. She has a gun there. Bond gets the gun, starts interrogating her, threatens to break her arm, and she spills her guts. And all that. Bond runs into Knick-Knack, who's this little short dude that really was it was pretty good. Like, he was a good character. I found myself quite amused by his character, and I liked it. Scaramanga, like, there's a scene where Scaramanga is ready to assassinate somebody that you're almost like, it's gonna be Bond, but he shoots the guy right beside James Bond, who is actually the guy with the Solodex, and Knick-Knack takes it. But Bond meets, there's this girl swimming in the pool, and it's one of these things where it was pretty risky. It was fringing on nudity, but no, they didn't quite go that far, and some Asian girl swimming naked called Chumi. Bond meets High Fat, who's sort of this Asian industrialist guy. Scalamunga sets up Bond. Knick-Knack takes out Bond. Bond wakes up in a martial arts academy. Bond's partner in this movie and nieces beat up an entire army of martial arts trained killers, and it's one of those things where it's so over the top it's not believable. It's almost insulting our intelligence and all that. Even for back in the 1970s, it was pretty cheesy doing this and everything. And then you get a boat chase, and I don't know whose idea it was to bring him back. J.W. fucking Pepper. I don't know. Like, whoever fucking made that decision, I still say to this day should have been shot for doing that, because I had to spend an entire movie listening. And this is another thing. And then J.W. continues to make racist innuendos about people in Hong Kong and all that stuff. I guess they were trying to play the typical American thing. I remember from Live and Let Die, he's like, boy, you know, boy, type really southern guy, but Scalamunga kills High Fat. While he's there, High Fat's opening a safe for the Solodex or whatever, and Scalamunga has these gold pieces, and he just starts putting them together, and then High Fat turns around, and there's the golden gun, and bang! Shoots High Fat, kills him. Bond is warned by Miss Anders that she sent the bullet with 007 to Bond. Scalamunga, at I think it is a kickboxing match, introduces himself to Bond with Knick-Knack behind him with a gun to his back and all that. Goodnight is captured by Scalamunga. Bond chases Scalamunga, and as I have written down here, ruins the scene so bad. That chase scene, if you didn't have J.W. Pepper, would have been great. Would have been a great scene. Even the little loop-de-loop little thing in the air that's sort of unbelievable would have been tolerable had J. Pepper not been in there like, we're gonna get him, boy, I've been deputized type stuff. And I'm like, oh god, shoot me now. I was almost saying to this entire movie, shoot me as soon as they introduced J.W. Pepper. Scalamunga's car can fly, escapes, and Bond arrives on island. Scalamunga explains plans to Bond and blows up his plane. Bond duels Scalamunga with pistols, plays a cat and mouse chase scene. Like you see at the beginning, it's sort of a maze house where they're trying to go through and they're trying to kill each other and all that. As I said, weaving through Knick-Knack's maze. Bond kills Scalamunga and finds his Solar X and escapes. And when they're on the junk, which is a boat, for those who don't know, Knick-Knack is hiding in the boat, and James Bond's making love to Miss Anders, and all of a sudden, the wall opens, here comes Knick-Knack with a little knife in his mouth, going down for the stabbing, and maybe James Bond will get his comeuppance, but nope. Bond finds him, stops him, and stuffs him in a suitcase, and then instead of just doing the normal thing that you'd probably do, throw him overboard, he puts him in a net that's hanging above. Like back in the day, you had your little net up there and it'd hang from a post or something. James Bond just threw him in there, which wasn't bad. And that's the movie. Now, what would I rate this movie? Is it as bad as You Only Live Twice so far? No. I don't think it's as bad as You Only Live Twice. Could it have been better? I think so. I think it could have been a lot better than what it was. I'll give it a C. A solid C. C minus, C. Somewhere in there. It's just J.W. Pepper, and I'm all for, like, putting an American in James Bond movies, making it okay, yeah, but to put Pepper in there, I think it also, for Americans, really felt derogatory towards them, because you're taking someone from, like, the Louisiana Bayou that we're supposed to believe are the Deep South, and trying to make him, and pretty much making him racist. Like, not to say racism didn't exist back in the American Deep South, but I think for this movie it just became too over the top. And there's a lot of that in the James Bonds with Roger Moore. I'm not sure if I should blame directing or if I should blame Broccoli and Saltzman. Or broccoli, I think, actually. I don't know if it's broccoli or broccoli. It sounds like broccoli, so I just call him broccoli. But I don't know if it's him I should blame, or Guy Hamilton, or whoever the casting director was, because there are some movies coming up, and I'll say this to you guys, there are some movies coming up, especially once it turns to the 80s. I've had a week and a half, 2 weeks, to try and get through 80s James Bond, and it is hard. For anybody out there who's seen 80s James Bond, they might know what I'm talking about, they might not. For me, 80s James Bond, potentially, in my review series, has some of, probably guaranteed to me, one of the worst James Bond movies ever made. And people will be like, oh, what do you mean it has one of them? There's been some bad ones. At least back in, like, 1974, when this was released, 1969, when On Her Majesty's Secret Service was released, you could at least say that they were bad years in film, so you could kind of get away with it at that time. But for movies coming up, I think it really is hard for me to watch them. Like, once you get into the 90s and Pierce Brosnan, I'll be just flat out, yeah, let's watch some more James Bond. But for the ones coming up, it's going to take me a while, because I do not like 80s Bond. And you'll find my reasons why. I think I'll do a video on why I don't like 80s James Bond films. But yeah, that's my review of Live and Let Die. Or not Live and Let Die, sorry. Blah, blah, blah. The Man with the Golden Gun. Episode number 9 in the James Bond series. Next one is episode number 10, The Spy Who Loved Me. Can it do better than this? I can only hope. I've got my notes here, might do them pretty soon, but all I can say, let's hope. Peace.